G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks of Ukraine War Update for the 22nd of July 2025. I'm your host, the author, David Applegate, author of the books The Boyhood Arcade, Power Games, Into the Elves Mound, and The Erotic Tales from the Empire. Part 1 available now, all on Amazon. Thank you to all those who support the channel. You can support the channel by buying my books, buying my merch, and of course, buying my books. All my links are in the link tree. Handy little website, not sponsored by the way. And on with the news. Alright, so there's been very little interesting news, but there was a report, which rarely does the Guardian actually report something interesting and factual. Ukraine has arrested its anti-corruption agency. Apparently, different reports have different amounts of arrests, but it looks like Zelensky ordered the entire frontline agents, leadership of the frontline anti-corruption investigators to be arrested as Russian spies. All of them. Apparently, this is big. Dozens of searches and crackdowns, effectively shutting down the entire anti-corruption agency. Apparently, one official was arrested as a Russian spy and alleged ties to a banned political party. But apparently, this is because the anti-corruption unit had just embarrassed Zelensky with major allegations, and also, some of these are just unpaid traffic tickets, but some of them have actually failed to arrest anti-corruption activists, and Zelensky has also arrested anti-corruption activists. And apparently this comes ahead of leaks to the EU, by the way. It's not to the media, but apparently the corruption agency, in cooperation with the EU, trying to organise... these are the people who are trying to organise Ukraine into the EU, and they're getting arrested. Because they have to have a level of transparency that Zelensky doesn't want. So he's not interested in democracy, folks. He's an autocrat. He's arresting his own appointees. These aren't Russian agents. These are his appointees. He put them in those off positions. And they've been arresting his enemies. Now he's getting them arrested. And activists who are calling for more transparency. Again, personal opinion, but I think this comes back to the reports of the casualties, where he says 43,000, somebody else said 80,000, and somebody else said, no, it's more like 345,000, and he blew his stack. Alright, so police station was hit. No reason to doubt it. Multiple drones across Ukraine. But it's not a civilian target. This is a... technically, they call it a civilian target. But actually, there are wartime provisions where if the military is using certain facilities, they do become military targets. Such as a house occupied by soldiers is now a military target. But Zelensky never shows you the military targets or the military getting hit. Or mentions the fact that these are relay stations for communications across Ukraine. Alright, so over 400 drones overnight. This is one of the largest aerial assaults. This is almost word-for-word repeat of yesterday. Right down to the allegations, but it's unusual for Russia to repeat but they do sometimes. So we may still expect an attack in 2 days, but it's rare for them to follow up an attack. If it does, it means they didn't hit the targets the first time, or additional targets appeared on screen. Now, when they were assessing the damage, they realised that, Ukraine, NATO waited for the missiles to come in. Then the trucks started making deliveries, so Russia hit them a second time, saying, we are watching you. But apparently, there was a substantial delivery, and this could have been of missiles, and this could have been the reason. Yeah. I find it odd that an explosive drone sitting there just like this, but I think it's on display, not action. Might have been shut down, but I think it's deliberately there on display. I don't think it crashed there. I think they've put it there, and it's just distraction that Ukraine is saying, look what we can do. But again, it comes down to ego, right? And the ego of the left is, little man good, big man bad. Little man is allowed to chop down to size. The big man, gotta break up Russia because they're big, they're oppressor. But never their own, right? They never go after OnlyFans. They never go after Google. They never go after any of their mates at Apple. Nah, this is all about power for them. Remember, they're always about empowerment, comrades. Now, as you can see, Kiev got hit hard, but so did the industrial West. Now, there's been a lot of action and but little movement on the buffer zone. More fighting. Sumy was hit with glide bombs and more missile strikes across Ukraine, including the Russia's favourite target, Kharkiv, fighting up here without any consequence. The buffer zone has increased up in the north with more fighting along here. Again, fighting in Kupiansk. As you can see, the Russians have crossed over and they are pushing on Kupiansk. Do not know the status of the battle, but there's fighting elsewhere as well. And Russia has advanced in some areas by not much at all. But, as you can see, they've increased the intensity of the fighting. These are disputed. There's operations all through this area as well as along here. There's fighting here. As you can see, they've increased slightly. They're here at Zelensky. They're fighting in the north of Novichi. Fighting here as well in Boryad. Fighting here. And fighting in Pavlovsk. And Russians had made it through to the centre of Pavlovsk, taking up positions to attack the Ukrainians in this area. They apparently stormed down the street, spread out, and fighting throughout Pavlovsk. More fighting in here. It looks like the Russians have overrun Ukrainian positions, increasing their hold on the outskirts of Pavlovsk. And lots of fighting, some movement, some Ukrainian positions were overrun, but the Russians are unable to close the gap here. But they are increasingly moving north here, as I said they would. And of course they're moving towards here as well to put all this under pressure. As you can see, glide bombs and missile strikes and drone strikes all across Ukraine. Very little advancement elsewhere. As you can see, Russia is saying they're basically pounding the military-industrial sites, while Ukraine says, nah, they're just attacking civilians. But, hey, as Russia said, NATO delivered ordnance, which means this is why they fired missiles. So there's going to be more reports tomorrow, more fighting and more strikes in Ukraine. Apparently, Ukraine is emptying out its prisons. Who was surprised? Ukraine's seeking 60 billion. Actually, the Al Jazeera and Guardian said that was 120. I think this is 60 billion from the US and 60 billion from Europe. Kiev is claiming it's arrested a high-level mole. That was actually the head. Oh, what a coincidence! The guy investigating corruption gets called a Russian agent. From Yanovich. Ex-president, remember, Dmitry Eisenhower is running as opposition to Zelensky. So Yanovich may be in Russia. That doesn't mean he's Russian. That's like saying, ooh, your name is Ivanich. You must be Russian. You must be a Russian agent. That's the kind of smooth brain thinking the left engages in, folks. Remember, this man should be arrested as a Russian agent because he's Russian. He's not Ukrainian. Anyway, because of his logic, no, bro, I'm not a Russian. Well, who says? Me! Oh, he's playing the good old game, right? Everybody I don't like is Russian. Just like Adam Shit for face. Shit for brain, sorry. Alright, so Zelensky's announced the date of the next talks, and we've already held 2 talks. This is preparing again for another POW exchange, although apparently they have been setting terms for a meeting at the end of the month to basically discuss how they are going to end the war. Now, if we look at Kupiansk here, we can actually see the incursion. And yes, they've definitely crossed they've definitely crossed into Kupiansk, but not control. So, fighting in Kupiansk, but not control. Look around the map, you can see all the blue dots. These are Ukrainian drone strikes. The reds, engagement points. Don't know why this is here, but anyway. This gives us a better look at the map. And you can see where there's fighting. Now let's consider the current rate of advance. Let's say 1, 2, 3. If Russia puts in full maximum effort for the next 3 months, they could take all this. Then they can take all this. Then they can take all this. Of course, that's well over the 45 days they got left. What was it? 43. I think it's actually 43. Now, I say why they've got 43 days left because I'm pretty sure Trump is going to announce a series of actions that will occur once the timer runs out. And that will include advanced missiles, increasing Ukrainians' missile defences with other weapon systems, probably including aerial combat systems, probably likely drones, although they could be sending helicopters. We don't know. But they may also increase the amount of aircraft which Ukraine has access to. Believed to be about 120 left, most of which are vintage aircraft, but for shooting down drones you don't need much more than that. So that's the pickle Russia's in. How much of this do they want, and what's their priority? And let's be honest, they should carve through here. Carve through here and call it a day. But I don't think they want to abandon Zaporozhye, so they may shift focus. I don't know. As you can see, the first Zelensky line, the third Zelensky line really doesn't stand out. They don't mark it well on the map, but it's there. Right? This is the main. This is the second Zelensky line. It's the predominant, and it was made as a. It was actually made to protect the overland route here. So if they tried to go around, they would have this here through here to protect this road through here. This was actually protected against Western invasion, to protect major highway. See, the predominant thinking is the road through Kiev, through to Kharkiv, down through here to Rostov-on-the-Don. That was the, one of the Cold War plans for neutralizing Russia, to seize, to cut off Crimea, to seize Rostov-on-the-Don. And as you can see, the spider web that is Moscow, to basically, from here, spread out from Kharkiv to Kursk to Bryansk, basically cutting off Moscow from all of this. And from there, just basically slowly break, encroach until you're in the inner ring to lay siege to Moscow. Just like Napoleon and every other nincompoop who's tried it throughout history, although to some extent Napoleon was successful, and to some extent so were the Mongols. So that's where we're at with the Ukraine war. Oops. See, there's the second line and there's the third line. This here is an ad hoc line they've added. These two existed, but they were refortified under Zelensky months before Russia invaded. It's almost as if it was all planned to provoke Russia into invading. Oh no, that wouldn't happen. Isn't that right, Obama? So that's where we're at. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and please support the channel. You can support the channel on Patreon, which I have too. Patreon, sorry. Buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree. Find it in the description below, in my profile, or scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you once again. And a little reminder that YouTube now wants engagement, so we really need those likes, comments, and subscriptions. Otherwise, the YouTube algorithm does not count your view. Isn't that wonderful? Everything is getting just more and more competitive. I get it. And people do not want to be clicking like on every video they watch. I don't know why, but they want you to click every video. And basically the ones you don't click like on, they are eventually, not yet, going to stop recommending. This is pretty much the fear that the vast majority of YouTubers are going to be culled. Anyhow, see you in the next video. Bye for now.